Do you know what Wu-Tang Clan calls R&B? Rapping bullshit.
Oh!
Recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, we are here to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Join us for a discussion about each of the artists nominated in 2025, as well as our selection results from last year, our top 5 all-time biggest snubs, and our predictions for this year's class of inductees. So let's get the show rolling and help me welcome back to the program. He is my buddy and fellow music critic, the one and only Mr. John Rajcich. Johnny Rajcich, how's it going, buddy?
Hello.
Hello. You ready to do today's show here?
I am. I hope.
So today we are here to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees
Once
for
again.
2025. So Ethan and I did the pod last year, and we made our predictions as we're going to do today. But I wanted to go over some of these just to see how bad we did, because every year I miss a bunch. And so last year's inductees in 2024 were Cher, Foreigner, Mary J. Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, Peter Frampton, Kool and the Gang, and Ozzy Osbourne. Those were the inductees, those who got in. And I was able to get Cher, Kool and the Gang, Ozzy, and Peter Frampton. So I got 4. And you know what? Ethan actually got Mary J. Blige. He got Kool and the Gang, Ozzy, and Tribe Called Quest. So that is last year's result. So it's not horrible, but
it's a pretty decent lineup.
Yeah. I think the year before I got like 2.
Yeah, I did bad. That one.
Because I think that we did this a couple of years ago.
I feel like there was a lot more when you and I did it.
The one that shocked both of us, for a band getting in 2024 was Foreigner, which I wasn't even expecting that, because I was like, oh, they're too good. They're not gonna put a classic rock band in there. They actually made it in there, which I'm happy about, because I really like Foreigner. I like a lot of Foreigner songs. So
yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're rock and roll and they're famous.
Yeah. So I know we went over our snub lists a couple of years ago. Did you come up with a top 5 snub list for this year?
I did.
Like for who should be in the Hall of Fame but is not in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
All right, so I want to hear your list. They're not even
on the list, and they should be on the list, and they should already be in there. Iron Maiden, number 1.
Yeah. Huge.
I mean, who didn't have a stepsister with an Eddie poster hanging up in their room?
I didn't, because I don't have a stepsister.
Well, that's your parents' fault.
Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad.
Number 2, Devo.
Oh, Devo.
They're just, I don't know, man. They're just bizarrely awesome group of weirdos, and they innovated so much and influenced so much, like in the new wave and the electronic music genre after that.
Dude, did Devo essentially invent nerd rock?
Pretty sure.
I mean, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they were using all that brand new technology for the synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah. Devo's, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. And I'm going to go with B-52s again. They're kind of in the same boat as Devo. I mean, as an art student, this band was our Lord and Saviors.
Yeah. B-52s are awesome.
And if you write a hit song about a lobster, I feel like you deserve instant admittance into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I love it. Rock star.
They're like one of the... Athens, Georgia was huge during that era, and they're one of the bands that came out of there, and just some of my favorite artists all came out of Athens. It was like,
It's
man,
crazy, right?
What's going on out there? It's kind of like when Seattle blew up.
Yeah. Something like REM.
Mm-hmm.
That's
My next one is The Replacements. I never really listened to them until a couple of years ago because I just didn't think that they would be good. So I listened to them finally after listening to a podcast about them, and I think they influenced like Green Day and stuff like that, but they're a bunch of Midwestern Beastie Boy dudes, and they're just raising hell, getting drunk, and getting kicked out of places all the time. Their one album, Let It Be, that album's really good. It's my second favorite Let It Be album, though. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to them, they're not like the super heavy punk, but more like what Green Day became, and maybe a little bit of Weezer. And then my last one is the Monkees. I mean, they started out as an industry-created boy band group, basically. I mean, if you ever watched the Monkees show, I know that doesn't have anything to do with the Hall of Fame. It kind of gave you a little joy in your heart, like what a little girl feels when she sees her first unicorn picture. And they were the first band I ever saw live.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Puyallup Fair.
Yeah. I was
My
there.
mom got mad at me because I was really hungry and I wanted a hot dog.
She
didn't think I was watching the show, and I was just really hungry.
I was really confused with that show because they had two drummers, and I'm like, why are there two drummers over there?
Yeah, and then two more main reasons that they need to be in is Mike's poofball beanie.
Oh
hat,
yeah, it's good stuff.
Mike Nesmith, and then Auntie Griselda.
You've got to make it free from Auntie Griselda.
Oh, I love Auntie Griselda.
Yeah, so those are my 5 that I think deserve to be in there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
So I definitely had Iron Maiden in there. I think that's ridiculous. The disrespect for metal in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is pretty disgraceful. But I mean, I've said many times, I'm not even personally a huge fan of Iron Maiden. I mean, I love their musical talent. I'm just not a big fan of the singing and stuff like that. I know.
But I just can't get past that. I just never liked that style of high-pitched.
Yeah. Like, but it's like, they're so important to the history of rock. Like, I mean, no metal band had better artwork on their album covers. Who had a cooler mascot than Eddie, right?
I can't think of anybody.
I can't think of anyone. Can you name a lead singer that flies the band around in a 747? No, that's pretty rock. That's pretty rock and roll. Actually, that's not pretty rock and roll. That's above rock and roll.
Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, and then there's like, I don't know, like you have like Joan Jett in there, which people take this the wrong way. I don't hate Joan Jett. I'm not a Joan Jett hater. I love Joan Jett.
Yeah.
But the Monkees should be in if Joan Jett. I think the Monkees should be in before Joan Jett. How about that? How do you like them apples? So she's more of a rocker. She's like cool rock chick. I get it, but yeah. I mean, most of her songs are covers. Most of her hits, almost all of her hits were covers. So, so I think Megadeth should also be in there. I'm going heavy on the metal here. Heavy on the metal. Yeah, no. So like they're one of the top.
Megadeth.
One of the top 4 in thrash. They should be in there. Metallica's in there.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Formed by Dave Mustaine after getting kicked out for being drunk in Metallica. So I mean that's pretty rock and roll right there. And then he gets pissed off. And then he forms Megadeth, and they could somehow keep up, not like neck to neck, but I mean, he's right there.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty wild, man. That's pretty wild. And he's an awesome guitarist. They had some great songs. I love Megadeth, but I just don't see him getting in for a while because like the disrespect for metal. All these old voters gotta start dying off. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then INXS. I think INXS should be in there.
Oh man, I forgot about them. They should definitely be in.
It's hard to explain how big these guys were in the 80s. I mean, it was like, pretty much just the 80s that they had that like comeback album, the 90s. But
Yeah.
frontman Michael Hutchins, we always talk about this. He looks kind of like Jim Morrison, and he sings kind of like Mick Jagger. Like, that's pretty awesome, man. That's pretty cool. They had some great songs. They had some great albums. I like Kick is obviously their peak, but they were all over MTV. All over MTV. They should be.
Yeah, it's like the soundtrack of our junior high.
Yeah, pretty much.
Life.
Pretty much. Devil Inside and Need.
I remember the first time we went into an assembly at Cascade Junior High. It was like the welcome new students assembly, and we walk in and they're playing. I think it was "Need You Tonight." Just came over the speakers, and I just like got these goosebumps. I was like, dude, what is this?
It's like our up to bat walk up song.
Yeah, it's like, what is this cool music?
That is awesome. That is awesome. I had Alice in Chains on there. This is like ridiculous to me. All right, okay, stop it. They're my favorite 90s band. They should be in there. Nirvana's in there. Pearl Jam's in there. Soundgarden, I mean, they could be getting in there this year. Alice in Chains, they're the most diverse of the 90s grunge bands. Like they made some of the most beautiful soft rock, and they made some of the hardest, grungiest rock there is. They were amazing. They're still kicking around with Jerry Cantrell and the other guys, but they should be in there. They should be in there.
This is weird. Like, some of these I thought were already in there because to me, the ones you're saying are criminally left out. Alice in Chains and NXS. I was like, they gotta be in there.
I had to look them up. I'm like, wait a minute, are they? And then I was like, are they nominated? Have they been I'm like, what? Like, Alice in Chains hasn't even been nominated? Like, really? So, and then my number one artist that should be in there, which is, again, it's ridiculous because when I think of the 1980s and hard rock, I think of, well, I mean, there's a few bands that I think of. I think of Van Halen. I think of Guns N' Roses, but that's later in the 80s. And then I think of this band, Motley Crue. I don't think of Motley Crue now. I think of Motley Crue, how awesome they were in the 80s. I mean, they were insane. Like, on stage and off stage, they were crazy. These guys were insane. And each one of their albums was kind of like different. Like, it was very different. I don't know. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, they were a huge force back in the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. I remember, I'll always remember when I first saw the video to Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I want to be like these guys. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, they're just like, they're all just fucking sitting there like in a strip club and they're like taking a knife and like putting it in the table. I'm like, I'm never going to be as cool as these guys, but it'd be fun to like, be riding motorcycles and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are the bands that I feel are the biggest snubs, and it's pretty ridiculous that these bands aren't all in there already, which brings me to our list of the nominees for this year. I'm not going to lie to you. I personally think this might be the weakest list I've ever seen. Just overall. I mean, I like the bands and stuff in this. I like the groups and everything.
Yeah.
Just overall, I think it might be the weakest list I've possibly ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty weak, but out of the weak ones, there's definitely some obvious ones.
And we're going to go over that. So
hopefully we'll get in.
So, all right, John. So what we're going to do, let's do this. We're just going to go through each of the bands. We're just going to do them in alphabetical order. You can take the descriptions on some of these and I'll take the descriptions on the other ones, but let's just start it right off, man. Let's just talk about the first band on the list, Bad Company.
Bad Company, I can't deny.
They had their 3 giant albums, Bad Company, Straight Shooter, and Desolation Angels. And they're a super group.
Yeah.
From Free, Mott the Hoople, and King Crimson. All like really good bands. Did any of those previous bands ever get in?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so. They weren't that big.
I think King Crimson is like people were throwing around their name, like how they should be in, but I don't know.
With all these artists, I was looking up their total album sales worldwide, and these guys hit about 18 million record sales. And the soundtrack to my white trash childhood.
Oh, dude. I mean, they're a classic rock.
Yeah.
Every hour. Every hour.
Yeah.
Especially off that first album. That first album,
yeah, totally.
You're hearing Can't Get Enough, Moving On, Bad Company, Ready for Love. Lots of love,
Yeah.
you know, like, and then the next album is like, Feel Like Making Love.
Yeah.
And then Shooting Star is a great song.
Yeah.
Like, talking about Johnny. He was a schoolboy
right.
when he heard his first Beatles song.
That was me.
But yeah, no, so like, I mean, basically what you just said, you know, it's like they had a ton of songs that were just like in constant rotation on the radio. Maybe that's the thing that hurts them. Maybe that's the thing that hurts them. Like they're like, I'm fucking sick of hearing Bad Company. I'm tired of it.
They got the John burnout.
Right. But you know what? It's funny is they actually had, which I don't really remember this because I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't listening to regular mainstream rock radio. Because remember in the late 80s and early 90s, I think that music started getting, especially rock, it's kind of like, unless you were listening to like the hard stuff, the mainstream rock was kind of getting like very dull and like very just generic. And they got that new lead singer, Brian Howe or whatever. I think his name was Brian Howe. I think I saw that version of Bad Company. Right. I didn't see the good version. I saw the bad version of Bad Company. And yeah, they had a bunch of hits like on the radio. I'm like, and you listen to these, I'm like, it's okay, I guess, but it's like I'd never really, I don't really know it. So
rock got bad during that era.
Yeah. So anyway, Bad Company, awesome with Paul Rodgers was there. Brian Howe years. Okay. All right. Next up, the Black Crowes. Kind of like Bad Company. They exploded into the music scene in the late 80s, early 90s. Maybe it was like 1990. And the album Shake Your Moneymaker had a bunch of hits. I mean, that thing was monstrous. A lot of these bands, we always talk about this. They start off with that first massive album because, you know, you can write that whole album when you're growing up, and then
they have 30 years to write it. And
then the record company's like, all right, so what do we got next? They're like, whoa,
that was it.
Wow,
that was all of it.
Yeah, you know, all the great Jealous Again, Hard to Handle, She Talks to Angels, Twice as Hard. I mean, the first album's stacked with just loads of great songs, and I did like some songs from their other albums, but they kind of turned into like that kind of the jam band kind of deal where, you know, just all the hippies that I knew that were like, you know, all going to the concerts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Didn't the lead singer, Chris Robinson, he married Kate Hudson, right? They were like married. She was back when she was all hippie-ish and.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Flower Girl and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I like them, but I don't know if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would put them in. Just, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
So, I guess they were cited as reviving the classic rock sound in the 90s.
Definitely.
But I could have listened to real hits on the classic rock station. They sold over 30 million records worldwide. I couldn't even get through their most popular songs on the Spotify popular list. I just don't like this band.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe part of the allure of the band is seeing them live and being high, and I don't know.
Well, that'd make just about anybody good.
Yeah, I mean, I love Rich Falls. Rich Falls is like, oh no, that first album's fantastic. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's good. But yeah, they were never my favorite, but I will give it up. The talent of the Robinson brothers.
Yeah,
they're pretty solid. All right, let's move on. Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big one. Mariah Carey. I mean, best Christmas song. that people say they hate, but it has 2.1 billion listens on Spotify.
Yeah, that's a guilty pleasure if people say they hate it.
Yeah.
It doesn't get billions of views for people that don't listen to it. It comes on and everyone's singing it.
Yeah.
You know.
I really like some of her songs, even though it's like I get really sick of some of the stuff, and then I'll go back and listen to it. I was like, man, I really like this song.
Yeah.
That fantasy song where they sampled Genius of Love, Tom Tom Club. I really like that song. I mean, she is a huge contributor to the R&B, hip-hop, and pop music period. Kind of exploded after that. There's plenty other pretty famous people during that time making the same kind of music, but after that, it just kind of
so she was like married to Tommy Mottola, right?
Yeah.
Like and like her first 2 or 3 albums are very Whitney Houston-esque.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Right? She kind of felt like the successor to Whitney Houston.
Well, yeah, because like then she got divorced from him because like he was pretty controlling. He's like, listen, this is what you are. You're this kind of artist. And she's like, I don't want to be that kind of artist.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Marvin Gaye when he left, or he didn't leave Motown, but he's like, listen, I want to start doing my own type of music. I don't hate, I heard it through the grapevine and, how sweet it is to be loved. But, these songs, I don't hate these songs, but I want to do more songs like What's Going On and Mercy, Mercy. And, these types of songs. And that's when she kind of started doing like, these collabs with, I don't know, who was it?
Oh, she did one with Buster Rhymes.
She's definitely a diva. She's the diva on this year's list.
Oh, yeah.
So
she's kind of like, like a lot of the pop music now was basically what she started creating.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, everything's collabs now pretty much. Do you know what Wu-Tang Clan calls R&B? Rapping bullshit.
Oh!
She's the best-selling female artist of all time.
Is she really?
Yeah. She's the only artist to have their first 5 singles reach #1 on the top 100.
Wow.
She's won 5 Grammys, 19 World Music Awards, and a Billboard Icon Award. 220 million records sold worldwide.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wow. She's a big one on the list.
Definitely huge. Definitely huge. So Mariah Carey. All right. Okay. Next is Chubby Checker.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Chubby Checker. Come on,
baby. Let me tell you something about Chubby Checker. He was a little chubby back in the day. He wasn't fat. He wasn't fat, especially by today's standards. He was chubby. But no, Chubby Checker, he was huge back in the early 60s. Basically
late
before
50s.
Basically before the British invasion came to America. He was loving life over here. But he's known for his hits The Twist and Let's Twist Again. Mm-hmm. Which is basically just a sequel to the first song. It's like, hey, I had a #1 hit with The Twist. Fucking let's twist again, motherfuckers. Let's do it again.
You got to hear this list. I was seeing the word twist in so many songs. I wrote down every song that had twist in it. So you said The Twist, Let's Twist Again.
Yeah.
Then it goes on Slow Twistin', Twist It Up, Twistin' USA, The Texas Twist, Peppermint Twist, Nothing But the Twist, Twistin' Around the World, La Paloma Twist, The German Ballad, Twist Mit Mir, Moose I Den, Twistin' Matilda, and Alouetta, All You Twisters.
No, are these all Chubby Checker songs, or these just songs about twisting?
No, those are all on his playlists on Spotify.
Oh my God. Okay.
Man, I got to go through this list and write these down. This is killing me.
Listen, the only other song that I recall just by the name is Limbo Rock, which is another dance song, but it's like, I know that song that hit #2. He had The Fly, #7, Popeye the Hitchhiker, #10. But man, there's just like, it's shit ton of twist songs, right? Like,
yeah, he's party music for the teens in the late 50s.
Basically disappeared. Like I said, when the British invasion came in, all that old shit was just kind of like, it's not cool anymore, right?
Yeah.
So until the comeback in 1988 with the Fat Boys.
Come on, do it, Buffy!
Yep.
I like all these like
Dude,
bands,
I
like,
love that song.
look at it. Listen, it wasn't as good as Wipeout with the Beach
Yeah.
Boys, but it was okay. It was okay.
I had that album. Fat Boys Coming Back Hard Again. Or something like that.
So he holds the record for the only song in the rock era to make it to number 1 in 2 different years. So that damn Twist song, man, like that made him a lot of money over the years. Well, you know what? Actually, I bet that made him money, but not as much as the goddamn guy who wrote the song. Whoever that guy is, he made some money, and he's got to be in the record books for like you said. I mean, regurgitating the same word over and over in a million songs.
Yeah, a lot of his popular rock songs I wasn't as impressed with when I started hearing some of the like, I would say calypso style, I guess. I like those better. They're kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But he got like these song names called like Ooh Kookaboo, the Holy Goalie, Mashed Potato Love, the Doodang, and the Hookatuka. I feel like I should like them more than I do.
Right? Yeah, that's right up your alley. Weird like names of songs.
Can I get paid to come up with song names like that?
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
But yeah, he sold over 150 million records worldwide.
That's crazy.
I would have been felt so ripped off to buy an album and it has like 3 more Twist songs on it.
Oh man. John, can you do the Twist? It's pretty easy. It's not really difficult.
Yeah, I can. I just need a few drinks.
Come on, baby. Let's do that Twist. I guess over the years, he's been really, really pushing for himself to be in the Hall of Fame. But it's funny because the song The Twist, they put in the Hall of Fame, as one of those special categories. That it's in the Hall of Fame.
That's funny.
I'm like, I guess it's not good enough for Chubby. Chubby's like, I'm good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. We're like,
that's his only reason to be in there, and they've already got that.
I don't know. I guess you have a couple like Richie Valens in there. He's known for 3 songs.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. All right, moving on. Joe Cocker. John, what are your thoughts on Mr. Joe Cocker?
He's a great cover band of Beatles songs.
Oh, man. Those first 2 albums, man, were like packed full of great Beatles songs.
With a little help from my friends, it's probably the only Beatle cover song that I think is better than the original. Sorry, Ringo. Is that
song, is that the greatest Beatles cover song? I mean, it's got to be up there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it.
It's got to be in the top 3.
It's got to be number 1.
I'm trying to think of like what's better. I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah. Because like that, it almost sounds like you wouldn't even think that is you. I bet you could be a casual Beatles fan and not even realize that that's a cover. Yeah. That's how good it is.
No. Yeah. I didn't. There's a long time I didn't. Yeah. A long time I didn't realize it was.
Yeah.
Until I started getting into the Beatles, and I was like, oh, crap.
You're like, whoa, Ringo sang a Joe Cocker song?
Yeah, I know. That'd be funny. I'm going to attempt this, boys.
Yeah, but that I also love when he did She Came In Through the Bathroom Window.
Yeah.
That's a great song, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great version.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some really good songs. I mean, the dude can sing. Like, I feel like if you were standing in front of him when he's singing, it'd blow you over.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it might smell like cigarettes and whiskey, and you might faint, but
that's no different than where I work. The guys I work with, some of them. To me, he feels mostly like a icon of like the '60s counterculture. Like, I don't know. It feels just like when you think of the '60s, he's like one of those guys that kind of pops up in my mind, but not necessarily for the music. It just, I don't know.
I always saw Joe Cocker, and I'm like, did they find him on like some fishing boat?
Yeah.
And it was like just pouring rain in London. They're like, "Hey, dude, I heard you singing. Like, you want to come in the studio and sing a song?" He's like, he's all drunk and he's like, "Okay," you know, like, and we're like, "Wow,
Yeah.
okay, man, this guy has pipes. Let's do something with this."
Or like one of them buskers on the street.
Right. So yeah, he did those first two albums. Like the first album had With a Little Help from My Friends in '68.
Is that Feeling All Right on
Feeling
that
All
one?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And then his next album had She Came Through the Bathroom Window and Something, other Beatles. But the song Woman to Woman, that's like one of the most sampled songs in hip hop history. Like, oh,
no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So like, yeah, that. And then he had, and then he started like doing the kind of like the softer stuff later in the, it was like,
oh man.
Oh, beautiful.
I made the mistake of hitting play on a Spotify, and the Up Where We Belong came on, and I almost died. I just got out of the ER. I got a $50,000 hospital bill. Thanks a lot.
Oh, and then he had the striptease song, right? You Can Leave Your Hat On.
Yeah.
Kim Basinger doing her striptease in, what was that movie? 9.5 weeks or something. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So Joe Cocker, great, very raspy, kind of like a bluesy, soulful, what do they call it? Blue-eyed soul voice. A lot. If you'd never even seen him before, you'd be like, "Oh, this black guy's awesome."
I know.
Like, this old black dude is like, he's got some pipes.
Yeah, no, he's this young, hippie-looking, homeless dude. He did sell 14 million albums. I thought I'd mention that since I've done it with everybody else.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Billy Idol.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Idol. He was in the punk band Generation X.
I meant to go listen to some of that. I never got around to it.
And then he hooked up with guitarist Steve Stevens. And that was like his golden ticket right there because Steve Stevens like wrote a lot of their great music and stuff like that. So it's funny, I have the EP, his first EP, which is Don't Stop. And that has the classic Moni Moni and Dancing with Myself on there. And those are killer songs. Like I remember when I would like do dances and parties and stuff like that, you could play either one of those and they were just like, just completely, everyone loves it. Everyone. And that came out like 1981. That came out in 1981. And those songs are like just all throughout the 80s. All throughout the 80s, there were some of the biggest hits.
I want my MTV. All right.
But yeah, no. So like, yeah, he came up with his, he came out then with this first solo album in 1982, which included Hot in the City and White Wedding. I always loved White Wedding.
Yeah.
So great. Such a
really
great produced song. And then his career peaked in 1983 with Rebel Yell, with the title track, Rebel Yell, and Eyes Without a Face and Flesh for Fantasy. So like, that's like, I mean, he's benefiting a lot from being just one of the MTV darlings, right? He's like one of the biggest things on MTV.
Yep.
So with that Elvis lip and
the old lip curl.
It's like his spiked, dyed blonde hair, bleach blonde, or whatever it is, and his attitude, So, what are your thoughts on Billy Idol?
Yeah, after re-listening to some of his stuff, I noticed that he's definitely very punk rock sound, but also got that 80s synth in there, and it somehow mixed really well.
Yeah.
Which, if you told me that's what it was going to be like, I probably wouldn't want to listen to it.
Right.
Ozzy thinks he should be in there.
Yeah.
He's quoted with saying that he should already be in there, so maybe they'll listen to Ozzy this time around. I really love that. I was listening to Eyes Without a Face, and I forgot how much I really like that song.
Right.
But it always makes me think of what happened to the face without the eyes that's out there.
The face without the eyes?
Yeah, there's eyes without a face. There's got to be face without the eyes.
Interesting.
That'd be scary though.
Yeah, that would be scary.
And and one other thing is, hey, little sister shotgun.
I love that song. And, you got to love his performance in Wedding Singer.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the airplane.
40 million albums.
40 million albums.
Yeah.
It's no chump change right there. It's pretty good.
No,
pretty good.
Not at all.
Speaking of Joan Jett, Billy Idol and Joan Jett are going to be coming to Phoenix. I might be going to that show.
Oh,
next month.
You should.
So we'll see.
You don't want to miss that one.
I know. I'd go rock a little Billy Idol and Joan Jett. I've never seen either of them. So
yeah,
see how they sound.
I think that'd be a good show.
Right? Not bad. Not bad. All right. Joy Division / New Order.
Tell me how do I feel? Tell me now how.
John, what are your thoughts on Joy Division / New Order?
Yeah, this one's always so weird just because it's technically two different bands, but it's pretty much the same band minus the member who committed suicide. And I mean, the two totally different sounds though. They're like, we're not going to keep making the music we did in Joy Division. We're going to do something different. I'm like,
yeah, it's like they were new.
It worked out for them.
Yeah, they were like new wave. And now they're kind of like what? Like
early emo.
Yeah, or it's like they're electronic, right?
Yeah,
they're
electronic, new wavy, post-punk type of sound, a little emo-ish. Like, I don't know, I think of like The Cure and the Smiths and stuff.
Right.
But a little more electronic.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a big impact when they were a New Order on that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Paved a way for a lot of people in the future to kind of open that door in that like niche genre.
For sure.
I mean, and they never really got that popular here in the U.S. I mean, I knew a lot of the cool kids that I thought were cool in high school listened to them, but I was like, where do you hear all these songs? And that was before I knew there was college radio.
Right.
That had a lot of stuff, and I didn't know.
You're like, where are they hearing this? Like, back in the day, there was no YouTube or there's no Spotify. What do you like? How are you hearing this? You had to like have like a cool older sister who's like going to the clubs or something like that, or like or
dad who's a DJ.
Right. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I think we've spoken about these Joy Division, New Order previously, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of confusing how they're lumping these bands together. Like you said, it's basically the same group except for the lead singer.
Yeah.
And then they added this keyboardist chick, which helped their image and style and stuff like that. But I mean, like when the Foo Fighters got formed, how come Nirvana and the / Foo Fighters aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, I mean, like how come they didn't get inducted at the same time?
There's been a lot of bands that the members have gone on and been in new bands. I mean, look how many times Eric Clapton's been in a different band. Right.
Guns N' Roses / Velvet Revolver or / Velvet. But no, anyway, like Joy Division, they started out with that big hit, like Love Will Tear Us Apart. Dude committed suicide. Ian Curtis, and they I don't know, like some of their best known songs are Truth Faith, World in Motion, Bizarre Love Triangle, and Blue Monday. Blue Monday is
Blue Monday,
probably the most recognizable of.
I said it was it remains the highest selling 12-inch of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think it was like originally on like a record, like a because they usually you release a single and then it's like, okay, it's coming on this album, but
I think it's pretty safe. I don't think people are buying those anymore.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe.
Yeah. I don't think there's too many 12 inches for sale anywhere.
Right.
That are gonna outpace it.
So it was Joy Division / New Order.
And I think they were probably the lowest selling group record wise. Between the two bands, they had 4.6 million. And then New Order was 3.8 million of those.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
For such a huge impact, a band that have such a huge impact, they sure did not sell very many records.
I know they were huge in, UK.
Yeah.
Way bigger than they were here. But they still were big here. Like, and it always just distinguish it like, whoa, they were big in the clubs. And I'm like, okay, all right. Like, how do you even Does it go by request? Or like, can I hear that song Bizarre Love Triangle again? They're like, yeah, I'll get that right on for you. Like, all right. No. Okay, so Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, she was really huge in the 80s. I mean, not even just her music, her style was like peak 80s, what do you call that? Glam? I don't know what her look was. It was She's So Unusual, I guess, look, which her first album, that album was amazing.
Yeah.
I got that. My mom bought me that album one day when I was homesick from school.
Whoa.
I just listened to it over and over. I was like, man, it's a
good album.
Yeah. She was the first female artist to have 4 top 5 singles from one album.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
That is crazy. Wow.
And she was involved in the Goonies and the WWF, so I don't know. I think that locks her.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I love that.
That goes right to my heartstrings right there.
Yeah, that first album, man. That first album, She, Bob, and Money Changes Everything, time after time. And of course, girls, what do they want to do? They just want to have fun, man. That's all they want.
Yeah. Everybody else doesn't. Yeah, and I don't know. She's been a very vocal figure in the LGBTQ plus community. So she's done a lot of. I think that's more of her recent, the last decade or so. Not so much a music maker, although I don't know. She's been still putting out music.
She's been in a lot of skin commercials too. I think that's what she's been doing. Something like that.
Not skin flicks, skin commercials.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
But you're right. She was huge. That first album, monstrous. She's, again, one of the big artists on MTV. She's all over the place in WWE and WrestleMania, and the Goonies, the theme song to the Goonies, and she even won Grammy for Best New Artist. I mean, that's crazy. She had like that run of like 2 or 3 years is monstrous.
I know.
But then she came out with the follow-up album, which had the big hit True Colors, which is it's a good song, but it's like, have you tried to listen to the other songs on that? It's like, it sounds really dated. Like, I'm like, oh man, the first album's so like, it's so catchy and so like, I don't know.
Listen to it now and still enjoy it.
Oh, it's so good. And then that second album's it's almost kind of depressing. I'm like, well, are there any like fun songs on here? Like the first like album's so fun and like she's all like peppy and now she's like, I see your true color. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. This is how we're starting this? Starting this new era here? But like, and then I couldn't even name any other. I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I don't even know are there any songs that I would know after that? I don't know.
No, I can't think of any. I was like, oh, I know one, but then I was like, oh wait, that was Blondie's song that she came out with in like the 2000s or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you said, I mean, those first few years are amazing.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of artists on here like that where like, oh man, that first album and a half, man, it kicks ass.
They tapered off pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
I
remember hearing one of them. I can't remember who said this. Somebody said, "Yeah, she's going to be," because her and Madonna kind of came out at the same time.
Yeah,
like 83, 84, something like that. You know, so and then they were like, "Yeah, Cyndi Lauper, man, she's gonna be the artist that lasts." That Madonna, she's like a flash in the pan. She's
I saw Madonna's first music video. The first time I ever heard her, watched her, saw her. I think it was Borderline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw Borderline music video come on. I was like, this musician's gonna be huge.
Oh yeah, so okay, there was Cyndi Lauper. I almost said Cindy Crawford. both cute.
Yeah.
Just different kinds of cute.
Oh yeah.
All right. Maná. Otherwise known as the Mexican Rolling Stones. I swear I've heard this. That's what I've heard. The Mexican Rolling Stones. So this is a Mexican pop band that has sold over 40 million albums. Didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
Oh, that's all right.
They've won 4 Grammy Awards,
yeah.
7 Latin Grammy Awards and 9 Billboard Latin Music Awards.
Wow.
And they hold the record. They hold the record for most sold out shows by any band at Staples Center with like 7 in a row. Something like, like that's crazy. That's insane. So they are the first Spanish language rock band to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I mean, their sales for some of these songs are insane. They're, I mean, I've never heard of, I don't think I've ever heard any of these songs, but like,
never heard of them.
I mean, 8 times platinum, 16 times platinum, 18 times platinum, 14 times platinum. I mean, it's crazy. These guys are legit, just not as well known here in the States. So, I mean, man, if the Grammys are really, if they're moving towards being, you know, worldwide, man, these, I mean, that's crazy. Cause you'd think that you would know more about a band that has sold this many albums, but it's just, I just don't. I mean, they came out in like what, the late 80s or something like that?
Yeah, 86.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You have any thoughts on Maná?
2 thoughts.
Yeah.
I have never heard of them, and I'm not a fan of them. Doesn't mean they're not
listened to some of their
exceptional.
Yeah, I listened to some of the songs, so I was like, all right. Like, I mean, I'm sure they're talented, but I think that's part of it, though, is like we didn't grow up with them, you know?
Yeah,
and
we didn't get to see what kind of trails they blazed. I mean, obviously, they're blazing trails for Latin music.
And I don't understand a lot of their lyrics. That kind of helps if I can understand lyrics. So.
Well, I love K-pop, and I don't understand a damn word.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that's very poppy. That's very, you know, I don't know. I guess you could be just into, you know, good rock guitars and stuff like that too. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just didn't connect with you. Didn't connect with you.
If they're trying to expand into the world music scene, these episodes are going to get a lot harder.
Yeah. That's for sure. All right, John. I remember listening to these guys back with you in the 90s. Oasis. What are your thoughts on Oasis?
They were basically the forerunners of that 90s British pop invasion. I liked them better when they were called the Beatles.
Oh!
Burn! I always remember Liam Gallagher was always throwing tantrums and stuff, like quitting the band. Which is funny because he wasn't writing the songs, was he? It was his brother had all the talent.
Yeah, Noel Gallagher. He wrote all the songs. Yeah.
And then Liam.
And whenever he sang the song, like he sang an occasional song, you're like, oh man, I really like this one. He's like, the singing's really good on this. And I was like, oh wait, Noel's singing this. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I did like them a lot. I had I might have had 2 of their 3 or 4 albums. I'm not sure, but
I definitely remember like us being really excited.
Yeah.
So I know What's the Story? Morning Glory came out. That was the big hit first. Yeah. Like in the States, that's when like they exploded because like they had that first album. What was the first album called? Definitely Maybe or something like that. 1994. Yeah. Which was big more in the UK. Yeah. What's the Story? Morning Glory was massive in the States. Oh, yeah. And that's the song most people know. But I remember when the next album came out, Be Here Now in 1997. I remember us going to the one of those like listening stations. So I was like, I remember put my headphones on and was like, why is the song taking like 5 minutes to start? Like what is this? I mean, the cover looks cool. They're all like crashed out by a pool and like I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I just remember that those songs like they're pretty good, but they like took way too long to start.
Remember Don't Look Back in Anger used the same chords as Imagine, right?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the intro.
I like when they would get pissed. I mean, this is like they've got to be one of the most least likable bands in history, right? Yeah. And they would get pissed off when people would be like, you guys are like kind of like the Beatles, right? They're like, fuck you, man. But it's like, now you like, if you listen to them, I've heard interviews with Liam and Liam's like, yeah, he's like, I love John Lennon. I was like, yeah. You think you're wearing like John Lennon glasses? You're like, you know, the hair and like, I heard Stern talk about these guys the other day, and he goes, these guys should be in there just because they made such good songs, but all they did was stand there on stage and they didn't even move at all, and they just like just sit there and like. And then maybe
I always
the only thing that
remember.
moves is the mouth.
Yeah, I always remember the one guy would sit down a lot while he's playing guitar.
Oh, really?
I think so. To me, they sound like a lot of those alternative pop college bands from like the late '90s, early 2000s, like Counting Crows. I can't remember all of them, but there's like this whole era of that music.
I just think the most memorable Unplugged to me was that Unplugged. I mean, everyone talks about the Nirvana and Alice in Chains, which are fantastic, by the way. They're fantastic. They're some of my favorites. But this one was, I remember this burned in my head. Like I was like, what is going on? Because like Liam is like, oh, he's just not gonna sing. He's gonna sit up and pout, and like he's gonna heckle his brother. He's gonna be smoking and drinking and like fucking flipping him off and yelling at him and shit. And I'm like, what is going on? Is this real? Is this like a fake or is this real? And then his brother knows all the songs because he wrote them. So he's like, I'll just fucking do the songs. I'll just do up here. And I'm like,
and I'll kill it.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
They're like way better than like, because what's the name? Like Liam's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, whoa. Okay. So it sounds like the normal songs without the bad singing. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was never a big fan of like his voice, but I guess he had the attitude. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they sold 100 million albums. Worldwide.
They were the real deal.
Yeah.
They sold a ton of records. They had tons of hits.
Yeah. I like a lot of them. But
yeah.
I kind of like, they're one of the bands that I really just don't feel like going back and listen to again. So it's just, they didn't have lasting power in my tastes.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Some of their stuff is
like
just
the
kind
era.
Of like, it's the 90s, but it's kind of like the lethargic kind of, all right. I heard it back when it was out. If I was like going to go see like, I wouldn't like, I heard that they're doing a big comeback tour and the tickets are crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'll skip this one. I've never seen them before, so it doesn't matter to me. So, all right, moving on. Let's move it on to more fun stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
Outkast. Legendary hip hop group from Atlanta, Georgia. Good stuff, man. They have some bangers.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Big Boy and Andre 3000.
One of them was, I don't know the name of it, but it's like one long word.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had to sound it out when I was looking it up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I recently heard it like a couple years back, and I was like, oh, man, there's music of theirs that I hadn't heard, because before that it was always the hits. But some of their like back catalog it's almost like hearing a new song that was made today by like an underground hip hop group or something, and it still sounds fresh.
Oh, so fresh. It sounds so clean.
So fresh and so clean.
Yeah, dude, they have a lot of classics, man. Players Ball, Miss Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Elevators. Hey Ya. I mean, that's their peak, because like, isn't that the biggest selling rap album of all time? That album is the biggest selling. It sold over 13 million copies alone. That Speaker Box, The Love Below. That is insane. 13 million copies.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of the biggest hits of the 2000s. Roses.
I know you'd like to thank you.
I was in Tacoma up on 6th Ave, and there's like this karaoke place up there, and we went up there one time, and there's this big like older fat guy, and he was like the karaoke host, and I was like, oh cool, right on. They're having karaoke in here. And then this guy, he's like, Caroline. And I was like, what the? I'm like, no way, dude. He's like, because this is like when that song came out, right? It was like maybe 2004. And like, so he's like just banging out the song. And I was like, how does he know this song this well? Like, this is crazy. It was amazing. I'm still amazed. And everybody's like, it's fucking awesome.
Wow.
So
I think we should officially retire Hey Ya, though.
I loved that song when it came out, but yeah, it's been played. It's been played quite a bit.
I think actually a new rule should be once the Kids Bop covers it, and it needs to be retired.
Oh no!
It's like the death sentence. I heard I don't know how I heard it because I don't listen to Kids Bop on purpose. But I was like, good Lord.
All right, let's move on. All right, we got Phish. John's personal favorite band on this list.
Yeah, they make great ice cream.
One of the biggest jam bands in history, and the first time appearing on the list of nominees, Phish. And I don't like their biggest charting hit on the mainstream rocks is a song called Free.
Yeah.
And they have their most recognizable songs. And I had to look this up. I'm like, what are the most recognizable songs by the band Phish? They're like Farmhouse, Bouncing Round the Room, and Heavy Things are apparently some of their biggest.
Is that a Chubby Checker song?
I don't know. Come on, baby. But I don't know. I think that the coolest thing Phish ever did, in my opinion, in 1994, they performed the Beatles' White Album from start to finish live in concert. And I was like, dude, this is pretty badass, man. That's pretty badass. That. Yeah. So I don't know if it's on video, but I definitely, I've listened to it on CD and I was like, this is pretty awesome, man. This is pretty cool. And I think it was like on Halloween night or something like that. I was like, this would be kind of cool. Like spend Halloween yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the band, but if they're going to play like Beatle covers, like sounds good to me.
Uh-huh.
So, most people, I'm guessing most people aren't even really aware of their music, but, John, what are your thoughts on Phish?
Well, I think they just basically kept the jam band culture alive once the Grateful Dead were gone. I can't think of other jam bands except for Dave. Wasn't Dave Matthews kind of a jam band?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bit? Yeah.
Yeah,
their
all
album,
these bands that like kind of took the reign.
But I think Phish is probably the most well known.
Yeah, because that's what they're most known for, right? Like they're more known for like songs that I don't even know. I don't know their songs, but I know they're a jam band, and people go there to do whatever.
I bought one of their albums back in college, and it was their most popular albums with that song "Free" on it.
Okay.
Billy Breathes. Or
is that the one with like the face on it or something? Yeah.
It was a decent album, but I lost interest in it pretty quick. It was like, you listen to a CD a couple times, you're like, hey, this is pretty good, and then you're like, oh, I'm done with it.
My buddy Jeff Bartholomew was a huge Phish guy. What's his name?
I would love to be into jam bands and go to those concerts. They look pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's like an event.
All right, so we have Soundgarden. John, what are your thoughts on Soundgarden, buddy?
Well, personal favorite on this list. I mean, yeah, they're one of the handful of Seattle groups that was able to pave the way for grunge and hard rock that blew up in the 80s, early 90s. Obviously, we know that because we were here. I don't know, the impact of the grunge music from Soundgarden and stuff was basically it killed off like some of that corny ass metal music that was getting made at the end of the 80s. And then like, remember when flannel shirts started selling at those boutiques for like tons of money?
So stupid.
And like, it's crazy.
There was like, we're not wearing flannel because it's cool. It's fucking cold in Seattle. Have you guys been to Seattle?
Yeah.
It's not warm. It's cold. It's like freezing rain. We're down by the Puget Sound over here. It's fucking cold as shit.
Yeah, now you can't even find good flannels anymore because they started making them for like popularity instead of like actual utility. But yeah, I mean, Chris Cornell's voice, we've covered this many times. I would think the best hard rock voice ever.
He's definitely
Freddie Mercury is probably ahead of him, but not hard rock wise.
Yeah.
I mean, their music is timeless. Still sounds amazing.
He is just crazy too, because I've said this before. his voice kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that does not usually ever happen. I mean, you've seen Vince Neil, right? I mean, his voice isn't getting better. It's considerably worse than it's ever been. But Cornell just kept getting better and better. And I'm like, how is this possible? He's insane. He was already a great singer, and then he just kept getting better and better, and it's mind blowing. But they were the first of the big four to sign with a big major label.
Yeah.
With A&M in 1989. But Bad Motorfinger, Super Unknown, Down on the Upside, those three albums were so monstrous in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had just tons of radio hits. It's kind of like the classic rock guys on the modern rock stations. It's like you're going to be hearing Spoon Man, you're going to be hearing Black Hole Sun, you're going to be hearing Outshined and Rusty Cage and all these songs. But I mean, they're all fantastic. They're all fantastic. And Soundgarden are one of the biggest bands of the 90s. It's ridiculous that they're not in there.
I know.
I think we all agree on this. So
makes me mad that they're on the list.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And not already in there.
So let's move on to the White Stripes.
I actually heard the White Stripes a long time before they were known. Someone let me borrow a CD of theirs, and I was listening to it, and I was like, dang, these guys are good. They're like they sound just like what they were, a two-person garage band. It was just raw. It was like listening to like some cool 60s rock, like garage rock music.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked it. They revived the garage rock scene, I think, or at least one of the big players in it.
Yeah, they were definitely one of them.
Yeah, and then they just continued to grow, but I did kind of miss that sound as they got bigger and bigger. But they had some really cool stuff. And
yeah, Detroit has a long history with great rock music. And so 1997, bluesy garage rock. Such a cool idea for a band. You have like a chick drummer, and then the dude that sings and plays all the guitar and all the crazy pedals and all the stuff that he does is pretty wild. Like how talented he is. And she doesn't even have to be like, people always rip on, Meg. She's not bad. She's like, she's kind of like a Ringo where she plays to the music. It's like, you're not supposed to be flashy. He's the one that's supposed to be the crazy talent in the band. That's how I see it.
Yeah, she's reliable and doing her job.
Yeah. And it's a cool gimmick. They're always wearing red and black and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I didn't realize the first album was released in 1999. That's pretty wild. But it wasn't until I believe the third album in 2001 when they exploded. White Blood Cells. And then Elephant was the monstrous album. I remember listening to that album just constantly when that album came out.
Yeah, it was good.
And then they had like the Icky Thump. I like the name of it. Icky Thump.
Yeah.
And it's like they have one of the biggest, Seven Nation Army is like one of the biggest songs in the entire world for like sporting events. So
heck yeah.
I mean, right there. I mean, you have a song that's played in sporting events all around the world nonstop. It's pretty big.
Yeah, for the short period. I mean, how long were they together? Because Jack went on and started creating all these other bands.
Yeah.
But they got lasting power from going for 20 years, and their music's still coming back around. Yeah,
and you have a lot of bands that like, okay, we need like managers because there's 6 people in this band. We need to make everybody happy. And it's like, okay, it's just the 2 of them. I was like, all right, like, so you want to bash on the buckets again? Sure. All right. Okay. All right, Johnny. So now that we've gone over the bands, the nominees, now we're going to give our predictions. Now, this is like not who we want to be in. This is who we think will be voted in. So what are your votes, John? So remember last year I picked about I picked four of the 7, which is not bad. It's not bad. But let's see if you can do better, John. What do you got? What are your top 5 or 7?
Okay.
What are your 7?
So I got Bad Company, Mariah Carey, Chubby Checker, probably because he's one of the judges. Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, Maná,
Maná
and Soundgarden.
and Soundgarden. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's crazy because like I almost had the same. I was like, there's no way we're gonna get the same here. All right. Okay. It's a good list. Good list. So I have Bad Company. And here's why. I'm just gonna explain and just do like a one sentence why. They're this year's sole classic rock representative.
Yep, I agree.
Therefore, they're in. Mariah Carey. They need a pop diva in there.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was Cher. This year's Mariah. She's in. Chubby Checker. I mean, they're going to put Chubby in there just because he's the only artist from the 60s. I mean, well, except for, Joe Cocker in the late 60s. But he's the only artist from the early 60s, and he's been lobbying for years to get in the hall. They're going to throw him a bone. He's going to get in, and then he's going to do the twist, and people are going to get up and start dancing at it. All right. Okay. And then I think they put in Joy Division / New Order. They put them in because the electronic dance musical influence. I think that's why they get in.
I can see that.
I'm not completely sold, but they've been nominated a couple times now. I think they put them in. I think they put Oasis in. And here's why. Not because I feel that they should be in, but these guys keep bad mouthing the hall. And
oh my God.
So I think they put them in just to see if they'll show up. It's kind of like what happened to Daryl Hall and Steve Miller. They're like, "Fuck the Hall of Fame, man! Fuck them." And then they get put in the Hall of Fame. And they're like, "Thank you, everybody. It's happy to be here tonight."
Maybe they gotta put them in just so they can see if they'll fight on stage. For entertainment.
That'd be awesome. It would be awesome if you had both the Robinson brothers and then you have the Gallagher brothers up there, and like they're just both fighting. Like they're like, dude, maybe we could put both of them in, and then they'll get in fist fights at the actual ceremony. That'd be badass. Yeah. And then I think they put in Outkast. They now try to represent every style, and they need a rap act for this year, and I think they're the only ones that are even on the list, right?
Yeah.
So I think Outkast is in, and then third time is a charm. Soundgarden is in. They should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's who should be in. So who did you have? So you had who were the last two that you had? You had Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I had Maná just.
Oh, and Maná.
Just because I think they might want to add another style,
right?
Or I
think
it'd be more of
on that one.
Political statement. So they seem kind of like political orientated nominations sometimes, and so that was my thought.
Okay. I was like, I don't think they'll get in yet, but this nominee causes them to get more buzz going for the band, and I don't know. It could get them some good ratings with the Latin audience, just to have them listed in there. But if they got in there, that'd be big ratings for the show. And I always think about with these, I always think about the show now because the show is like such a big production now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if they had them perform there, that could be big ratings and there's a lot of,
they're probably out there. Highest selling band on the list.
And that's why I didn't put like bands like Joe Cocker in there. Cause listen, Joe Cocker's not going to be upset if he doesn't make it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Joe Cocker's dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I think Cyndi Lauper, they need a representative from the MTV era. That's why I went with, it could go either way. It could go Billy Idol. It could go Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
I think maybe that was the one that I was like really struggling with because Cyndi Lauper was such an icon for MTV in that era that it could go either way with one of those two. I just think that Cyndi Lauper, I don't know.
I think she's just more exciting.
Yeah, like I don't know.
The idea of Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, and then Phish. No, I don't think Phish will. Like they're nominated this year, and they'll be left off the ballot for a few years after this because. Hey, we put you on the ballot. Remember that? Back in 2025? You made it. You made it on the list. We just didn't put you in. And the White Stripes, I think they'll make the White Stripes wait. That's just me. I love the White Stripes, but I think they'll make them wait. And yeah. Yeah, so now who would you want to be in? Do you have that list? Do you have the list of people that if it was your choice to put them through no matter what, who would be that? Who would be that group?
So half this list is going to be the same who I thought will get in. I mean, Bad Company, Mariah Carey, Soundgarden, I think, are shoo-ins. Mm-hmm. But my different choices would be Cyndi Lauper and Billy Idol. And Joy Division, New Order.
John, did you just name everybody on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, by impact alone of what these people had effect on the actual music, which is kind of what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is supposed to be. Although Bad Company to me sounds like a lot of bands from that era, but I just think they should get in because they're one of those huge bands from that era. But some of those bands like Bad Company, Foreigner, and there's a couple other ones that I almost couldn't tell apart for a while. Just kind of had that same feel to them.
Yeah,
but so I think they're big enough that they should.
If it was up to me, like I'm so I know the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has changed a lot, but if I could put all the people through, it'd be Soundgarden, Bad Company, Outkast, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, the Black Crowes, and the White Stripes. But whatever. I don't know.
No Billy?
So what's that?
No Billy? Or did I miss that?
Billy?
Yeah.
Billy Idol. I love Billy Idol. Like I said, Billy Idol and Cyndi Lauper, that's like the two that that's the ones I struggled with the most because I think that they have to have someone from that MTV, that classic early 80s MTV era. And each one of them, it could go either way. You can go either way. It might be Cyndi Lauper just because they need more women. Like, I don't know. I
guess we'll see.
I guess we will see. But it should be fun to see how many of these we can get wrong.
Maybe we won't tie and one of us will actually get more than the other.
Yeah.
Like with you and Ethan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, because we had some of that. We had the first few that were kind of like the same, but we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. Yeah, because this one they threw in a couple of odd ones in there. Usually I kind of get it. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I kind of get that. But I'm like, holy moly, they put in like Maná and Phish. I'm like, Phish. All right, watch Phish get in like the first time.
That'd be interesting. They're gonna have to start adding. It's weird because as the years pass by, we're going to start seeing more and more stuff that we're more familiar with,
right?
In our like actual lifetime, and have like actual firsthand knowledge of what it was like,
right?
With these people, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, John, is there anything that you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to add about the nominees for 2025?
Not really about that whole thing that we've just been talking about for the last hour. I just wanted to show you I got myself a Valentine's Day gift. It's a Lego unicorn. Pretty sweet.
All right. Well, hey, we want to hear what your thoughts are Who are your selections for 2025? Let's hear them. Put them down below. Make sure you subscribe and follow along. And we're going to do more rock lists and top albums of whatever years we're covering. And
1920s.
Oh, yeah. Hello, my name. Hello, my darling. It's going to be good stuff. All right. Johnny, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks again for joining me. And,
Thanks, Rev.
Yeah. We'll see you again, buddy. All right.
All right. Peace.
For Johnny Rajcich, I'm Josh. And as always, thank you for being a friend.